If you've ever attended any of my webinars, watched any of my instructional videos, downloaded any of my stuff, you'll probably have heard me talk about diagnostics, checklists, and quizzes. Now, these are surveys that give while also collecting information. In fact, in my not so humble opinion, these are absolutely essential, non-negotiable ingredients of any high-performing B2B funnel, which is why it is an absolute honor and a privilege to have sitting with me right now, Ryan Levesque. Now, if you don't know much about Ryan Levesque, he is the man when it comes to quiz funnels. His clients have generated over 100 million in sales. That's people working through his training programs across 23 countries. I remember when I first bought his book, The Ask Method, my brain went. More recently, I grabbed Choose. If you're struggling to figure out who your target audience is, this is the guy. Ryan, thank you for spending a little bit of time with me today.
James, it's awesome to do this. Really excited for our time together. And it's just really cool to be on opposite sides of the world like this, different time zones, different times a day, connect like this and talk about it. So I'm really excited to be here and excited to dive right in.
And what's really exciting for me is that I've been a follower of yours for quite some time. I was already teaching people how to pull together a diagnostic or a checklist in the context of their business. And then I picked up your book one day and I went, oh my goodness, this guy is the real deal. And I ended up investing in Ryan's training, and it took my level of thinking with respect to our target audiences up a notch. Our conversion rates went up. It was a very exciting time when I went through your training program, Ryan. So thank you for that.
Totally, man. It's an honor, and it's really cool to see you put it all to work and see what you've done. The explosive growth that you've had in your business. It's a pretty cool journey.
Which is a good segue to the topic today, because we are indeed talking about explosive growth. I'm guessing largely using quiz funnels, which I call a diagnostic or a checklist, but
sure.
But hey, terminology is terminology. I want to just pretty much hand over to you, and I might chime in every now and then, but I'm here to learn just about as much as anybody else here today.
That sounds great. Feel free to chime in along the way and try to cover a lot of ground in a very short amount of time and really make this time well spent for everyone here. So if you're ready, I'm ready. I think we can dive right in and put up the slides on the screen here. And like you said, James, what we're going to be talking about is really how to explode the growth of your business this year using the power of what's called a quiz funnel. And we're going to explain what a quiz funnel is here in just a moment. Before we dive right in, I just want to make sure that anyone watching this right now, that you kind of have a good sense of whether or not this is something that you might be able to use in your business. So, if you're in a B2B space, whether you're selling, digital products like software as a service, if you are, B2B e-commerce, if you're B2B, selling digital courses and training, if you, sell books, if you have some sort of membership, whatever that may be, if you are a coach, a business coach, a marketing coach, if you have a consulting practice of some sort, if you're an agency, so you do work for other businesses, if you have a physical storefront, a brick and mortar store, or a local business where you're offering some type of professional services, or you're literally just looking to generate more leads online for your business, I want to give you confidence that this is for you whether you sell more than one product or service. This is for you even if you basically sell one thing, like one product or service. This is for you if you quickly want to grow your audience or email list and expand your reach in your business. If you want to generate cheap, highly profitable leads digitally online. If you're looking for a new way to generate clients and customers, or you're simply looking for a proven step-by-step process that you can model, as James alluded to, something that you can use in your business, I want to give you kind of a sneak peek in what we're going to be covering, and then we're going to dive right in. So first, we're going to cover a question that you might be wondering about, which is like, what is a quiz funnel exactly, and what makes it a little bit different from both a traditional online quiz or a diagnostic or survey and a traditional online marketing funnel? That's the first thing. We're going to cover the 3 types of quiz funnels to choose from and how to decide which one is right for you. we're going to go through dozens of real life examples, all sorts of different markets, all sorts of different countries, all sorts of different circumstances, so you can really begin to see how you might be able to apply this in your business. We're also going to cover some of the biggest mistakes that people make, the 5 biggest, what we call quiz funnel mistakes that people kind of screw up this process on, and what to do instead. And then I'm even going to give you a case study. I'm going to walk through an actual real case study, take you behind the scenes, a case study that we launched a few months ago that's getting leads at 43 cents per lead, already responsible for generating over $1 million in revenue. And if we got time, I'm even going to take you inside the technology that makes this all possible. So with all that being said, let's start by answering that first question that might be on your mind right now, which is, all right, sounds interesting, but like, what is a quiz funnel exactly? Well, let's start by answering that question. So a quiz funnel is when someone lands on your website. Instead of a traditional website or even a traditional funnel, when someone first lands on your website, you begin by asking a series of questions, much like you would if you're having a conversation with a potential lead that you might be, meeting in person or meeting over Zoom with or over the phone with. You begin by asking a series of questions through your website to better understand their situation so that you can customize the product, the offer, or the message that you put in front of someone based on their situation. Now, I'll show you a few examples of this in action to really kind of bring this to life. So, for example, I want you to imagine for a moment, and if you bear with me one second as I pull this up, I want you to imagine for a moment that you are a golfer, and you may play golf, you may not play golf, but it's sort of irrelevant here. Imagine for a moment you're a golfer and you're browsing on Facebook, and then you've got an ad that pops up on Facebook, or a post that pops up on Facebook, and it says something to the effect of, attention golfers, which of the following mistakes are you making in your golf swing? Take this quiz to find out now. And you're taken to a landing page that looks a little something like this. This landing page has a little video on it, and it's says something to the effect of, "Hi, my name is Jim McLean, and I'm a PGA golf instructor, and I've been helping golf players from the rank beginner to the seasoned tour pro for the last 35 years. And what I found is that every player suffers from one of what we call 10 swing killers in your swing. These are mistakes that you make that happen to sap your ability to hit with distance, with power, with consistency, with accuracy. And I can often identify what the #1 swing killer is in your swing in under 60 seconds just by asking you a few simple questions. And the cool thing is you can answer these questions from the comfort of your home. All you need to do is click that yellow button below this video, answer a few questions, and I'll see you on the other side with what your #1 swing killer is and how to fix it for free in under 60 seconds. Someone clicks on that button, they answer a series of questions, and based on that information, they are given a set of recommendations on how to fix their swing, which then segues into an actual paid product. So that's an example here. I'll show you one more example.
I'll tell you what, I'm just going to pause there for a second. One reason I really like this, and I want to point this out to everyone, is that what the example there showed was a how-to headline. So it was a how-to. We're going to show you how to improve your swing. And particularly in abstract industries like B2B, where often we're selling a service, we need to think in terms of how to. Because, for example, you wouldn't pay Tiger Woods for his opinion on the PGA, but you would pay him on how to improve your golf swing. And it's a very important 2-word phrase here, how to improve your drive, how to get, and then insert what you do then and there. What's our second one here with Amy Porterfield?
Let me talk you through Amy's example here and show you just a contrasting example. So if you're not familiar with Amy Porterfield's work, she's got one of the most popular marketing podcasts on the internet. And we recently worked together to create a quiz in an area that she helps people with, which is building an online course. So if you've ever thought about building an online training program or course of some sort, this is one of the things that she helps people with. And so she has a quiz. What type of course should I create for my business? And she uses her podcast to drive traffic to this course. So you might be to this quiz. So you might be listening to her podcast, or if you do, by the way, any radio ads or any sort of video ads online, another great way to drive traffic to one of these quizzes. And the quiz is what type of course is right for your business? There are 5 main types of courses. Which one's right for you? Take the quiz to find out now. She invites people to answer a series of questions, and based on that information, drives you to the right type of course for you. Now, in this particular case, she's driving people to, as it may feel a bit meta, to an actual online course on how to build your own training program. So she's driving people to a paid product on the back of this. I'll give you one more example. This is one of the quizzes, many quizzes that we have in our own business. This quiz is also kind of meta. What type of funnel is right for your business? So there are 27 different types of online marketing funnels in this day and age that you could potentially choose from. Which type of marketing funnel is right for you? Well, it depends on your business, your industry, your price point, your products. If you answer a few simple questions, you'll find out what type of funnel is right for you. You'll get a funnel template, diagramming out what that funnel looks like, and a real-life case study of an actual business and an example of this exact type of funnel in action. Take this quiz to find out now. So those are examples of what quiz funnels look like. The bigger question is, why quiz funnels? Like, of all the different things that you could be doing right now in your business for generating leads and customers, why a quiz funnel? Well, I'll give you a few of the key reasons why, beginning with reason number one. First and foremost, James, incredibly cheap leads. Oftentimes, people who are using a traditional way of generating leads and customers online, when they switch to a quiz funnel, they're able to get leads at 1/3 to 1/10 the cost. And I'll give you a few examples. This is Maston Kipp. He's a consultant, and you can see Maston here in his business. He recently used a quiz to take his cost per lead, his CPA, cost per action is what that stands for, his cost per lead, from $6 a lead to less than 76 cents per lead. I'll give you another example. This is Sean Penrod. He is in the marathon running market, so he helps aspiring marathon runners with their running. He was able to cut his cost per lead from $2.59 to 23 cents per lead when he switched to a quiz funnel. And finally, this is Beryl Young. Beryl's in the photography space, and she has a business called Momtography. And she was able to cut her cost per lead from $1.67 a lead to 14 cents, less than 14 cents per lead using her quiz. So incredibly cheap leads. Now, James, whenever I bring this up about cheap leads, the next question people are always asking is, well, how do those leads convert? Like, is it just a bunch of garbage traffic, or how do these leads convert? Well, that takes us to reason number two, which is incredibly high conversion. See, when you have someone take a quiz like this, what it enables you to do is it enables you to customize your copy and your offer. So in other words, someone's taking the quiz, and then based on their quiz answers, you can customize the content, the copy, the offer that you put in front of people. And by doing so, instead of sending people to a one-size-fits-all solution, you can often double to triple your sales conversion rate. So your sales process becomes that much more effective. And I'll give you an example of this in action. This is a B2B business called Snack Nation. They deliver a curated box of snacks to your office. It could be your home office, it could be a physical office that you might be in, and they could even send these snacks to your home. And they recently, as an experiment, decided to test a quiz on their as their primary lead gen. And so they did a test. They did a 3-month test, and as a result, they were able to more than triple their revenue. By making this move, and literally land on America's Inc. 500 list of the fastest growing companies in America at $24.2 million. And they've grown their business significantly ever since. You can see here they took their revenue per visit from 34 cents to $1.10. They cut their sales cycle from 11 days to 8 days. So they're not only making more money, but it's taking them less time to generate these results. This is just for starters. So that's reason number two, incredibly high conversion.
The opening question of a quiz can ask a fairly no-brainer question like, what best reflects your circumstances? 3 scenarios. Then when someone completes the quiz, the page can have a video that specifically reflects their circumstances. Whereas the rest of everybody else has got a one-size-fits-all. I can see why the conversion rates go way up when you are talking specifically to somebody's needs. Number 3, I'll try not to interrupt too much, but I'm excited about this topic.
Oh, totally. I was waiting for your number 3. I'm like, I was hanging on your every word here. But it was a great question. So reason number 3, incredibly high volume, right? So, quizzes, when done well, are the type of thing, James, that people will share with their friends. they'll share with their colleagues, they'll share with their peers. And in other words, quizzes, when done well, can go completely viral. And oftentimes you can grow your business by anywhere from 10 to 50x on the back of a viral quiz. And I'll show you an example of this in action. This is Gabby and Luis Carlos in the Hispanic market. So they're in the Spanish-speaking market. They, in this business, they serve parents. And they recently created a quiz, which was like sort of a parenting style quiz. What type of parenting style is right for you? And the quiz went bonkers. It went completely viral. And what I'm about to share with you is gonna seem like an exaggeration. I'm actually understating the numbers. They did over 1 million email opt-ins after 10 days of launching the quiz. So 1,018,522 opt-ins in less than 10 days after launching the quiz. And the reason they got those results is because the quiz went completely viral. Parents started sharing it in moms groups. Moms groups started sharing it. It started making it on media. It's going everywhere because this quiz just went completely viral. The crazy thing is they spent on average 26 cents per lead. So that's what they paid on paid traffic, which included Facebook advertising, YouTube advertising, Google advertising. So 26 cents per lead. And they got a 4x return on investment. So meaning they made over $1 million on the quiz in just the first month alone. And then here's the kicker. Here's the big thing about this is they now have an audience of over 1 million people that they can sell other products and services to. And that's exactly what they do. In fact, they did a survey to the 1 million people who took their quiz and basically asked them, what do you need the most help with right now? Got some great answers, created a product around that thing, and doubled their business by following that process and basically lather, rinsing, and repeating. I said 3 big reasons. I want to go rapid fire on the last 2, and then we're going to get into some good stuff here in just a minute. Incredibly valuable data is reason number 4. So quiz data is an incredibly valuable asset. It can increase the value of your business by 100x or more if at some point down the road you've ever thought, maybe I might want to sell my business. Like maybe, I'm happy running my business right now, but maybe at some point down the road I'd love to sell it to somebody else and have a nice big payday. And I'll give you a few examples of this with some clients. So this is a quiz-based life insurance company called Health IQ. And Health IQ basically disrupted one of the oldest industries in the world, which is the life insurance industry. It's been around for 500-600 years. Literally one of the oldest industries in the world. Not very innovative. Kind of one of those businesses that just keeps operating the same way every single year. But they decided to create a quiz as a way to acquire leads and customers, and basically out of nowhere, shot out of a cannon, and went from literally obscurity, complete startup, to now valued at over $450 million. And I want to bring that number back to earth to actual businesses that have sold to other companies on the back of their quiz funnel. So remember that golf example I gave just a few minutes ago? Well, that little golf example that I shared was a little, sort of company started by 3 golf buddies, launched a quiz funnel, and then on the back of that quiz, built an audience of over 2.1 million golfers. So over 2.1 million golfers took that quiz that I just shared with you a moment ago. And this business here was acquired in the United States by NBC, which is one of our biggest, TV networks here. NBC, and a partnership with the Golf Channel, which is the international channel for golf, and did so for over $50 million. Why would they pay that kind of money? Well, because NBC and golf, the NBC Golf Channel, wanted to basically explode their digital audience and were willing to pay a premium to grow their audience really quickly. And they wanted not just a person's name and email address, but with this particular quiz, this quiz has 15, 16, 17 questions where they're gathering all this incredibly valuable data, and that's what they're willing to pay for. In a B2B space, I'll give you one more example. This is another client, a company called Swift Financial, started by an ex-MBNA employee, launched a quiz funnel with our help, built a list of over 20,000 customers. This particular quiz is called Loan Builder. So we created this quiz to help identify what type of business loan is right for your small business. And this little quiz got the attention of a little company that you may have heard of called PayPal. PayPal reached out one day and said, hey, would you be willing to sell your business? And made an offer to buy the business for over $183 million. Now, why was PayPal willing to spend so much money? Because of this massive audience that we'd built in the small business space of small businesses looking for business loans, and this machine that we had created that they could plug into their infrastructure and provide business funding to those leads and to those customers. And then the last reason why quizzes are so powerful is one that I think is really important, and that's this. Not only does this help you better sell, but it helps you better serve your audience at the same time. So you win, but more importantly, your customer wins. And I think that's important. And I'll give you an example of this. This is Dana Abraham. She's a mom, you can see, with her 3 kids in the back seat. Her husband Jason driving the car here. And she recently launched a quiz in her business. And you can see here, did over 10,000 leads in less than 14 days launching her quiz. She, as a result, generated over $1 million in less than 12 months in her business on the back of that quiz. And you can see here, the feedback that she's gotten on the back of this is literally, "You've changed my life." And this is a quiz in the parenting space where she's helped people who have children that are, quote unquote, outside the box children. So people that are on the, children that are on the spectrum, children that have been diagnosed with learning disabilities, and really helping parents get through the challenges that one's faced. And so she's transforming lives. And I share this with you to underscore that this is one of these strategies that you can feel really good about at the end of the day when your head hits the pillow, knowing that you're not only making great money, but you're also changing people's lives at the same time. Now, very briefly, this is why a quiz funnel makes sense. People always want to know, okay, so where did this come from? Like, how did we get to where we are here today? So, at the highest level, the story of how we got to where we are today goes back about 15 years ago. So about 15 years ago, I was just getting started in this business. A little bit about myself. I grew up working class, blue collar. Neither of my parents went to college. I was the first in my family to go to college. I studied neuroscience at the Ivy League level at Brown University. After college, worked on Wall Street for the investment bank Goldman Sachs, and then later for the insurance company AIG in China. World financial crisis hit in 2008, and I had kind of been thinking about starting a business at that point. But in 2008, when the world financial crisis hit, the company I was working for basically was about to go out of business. I walked into the office one day and found the Wall Street Journal Asia edition. Headline read, "AIG to file for bankruptcy." And I really used that opportunity to leave my job and start my first business. And my big goal at the time was to make $10,000 a month. And you can see here on the right-hand side, I did one of those 10-year challenges a couple years back. And 2018 was the first year, 10 years later, that we had hit $10 million in our business. And I share that because what we're going to cover is something you can use whether you're looking to make $10,000 a month, $10 million a year, or anywhere in between. You mentioned or alluded to the different markets that we'd gone into. So first phase, we went into 23 different weird niche markets. We went into markets like Scrabble jewelry, orchid care, memory training, water filtration, satellite TV, fish oil supplements, flea removal, violet care, and all these different weird niche markets. And the strategy that we were using to go into market after market and have increasing success is now known as a quiz funnel. Our first year in business, our first month in business, we made $370, pretty modest beginning. Within 18 months, we're making $24,000 a month. Within 3 years, we're making over $1 million a year. Building audiences of 78,000 people, 103,000 customers, 260,000 email subscribers, 30,000 customers, 535,000 email subscribers, 116,000 customers. All said and done, we built an audience of over 4.1 million email subscribers. And from there, used everything that we'd learned to build an Inc. 500 education company. So Inc. 500 list of the 500 fastest growing companies in the United States. We landed on the list. 3-time Inc. 500 company. We were the number 7 fastest growing company in our city, number 50 fastest education company right now in the entire country, and used what we learned in the education space to build a software technology company called New Edge Solutions, and built an AI-driven quiz funnel technology. It's now used by over 30 million people around the world, over 200 million data points that we have access to annually, and along the way, made a lot of money using quiz funnels, and today do well over $1 million a month, selling everything from digital products to affiliate marketing to high-ticket client work if you do coaching and consulting, to e-commerce, to software subscriptions and memberships. been featured in all sorts of different places around the world, from Wall Street Journal, Harvard Business Review, Entrepreneur, basically kind of chronicling this process and this story. But most importantly, I'm a family man. This is my wife and our two boys, Henry and Bradley. We built a company with an amazing team and been able to do some really cool things like built an entire school in Africa that we fund every single year that provides an education to over 500 young boys and girls with what we've done. So I share this with you to show that a quiz funnel is something that can transform your life, it can transform your business, and far more important than my story, the stories of people. And I want to share with you some examples of quiz funnels so you can start to see, as I go through these examples, I want you to begin thinking about how you might be able to use elements of these examples in your business. So here's an example in the guitar space. So this is a guitar progress killers quiz. Take this quiz to find out the biggest mistakes you're making playing the guitar. This one was created by a guy called Charlie Wallace. He's a New Zealander. He's Kiwi. And he built a business. He was a struggling musician trying to basically make ends meet. Decided to shift gears to build an online business to help fund his dream of becoming a musician. On the back of this quiz that you see right here, nothing fancy, build a business that makes over $2.2 million a year. He was able to land on entrepreneurs list of the top entrepreneurs under the age of 30. And most recently, pretty cool story, his business was able to fund his dream of launching his debut record album that landed at number 12 on the Billboard charts of the best hard rock albums in the world when he debuted. If you're in an e-commerce space, right? So this is an example of an e-commerce quiz. Take this quiz to find out what your weight loss type is, and based on your weight loss type, what next steps you should take to lose weight. Created by a guy called Buck Risby. On the back of this quiz right here, generating over $12 million a year with a return on ad spend of 196%. So basically for every dollar that Buck invests in Facebook ads and YouTube ads, Google ads, he's making almost $2 in return, which is a great return. Share with you Snack Nation, another e-commerce B2B business. This is Andy, the guy behind this quiz right here. $24 million a year. Affiliate marketing in the health space, Jeff Radich and Mark Stockman. $1.5 million a month on this quiz, 103,000 leads per day. This is Michael Hyatt. He's in the leadership space, so he helps small businesses and business owners develop leadership skills. This is his platform assessment quiz. He drives traffic to a webinar. So anybody who drives to a webinar, he's doing about $203,000 a month on the back of this quiz right here to identify where you are in the growth of your platform. And then I shared Amy's example. Amy, on the back of that quiz that we talked about just a moment ago, Amy Porterfield, did a $5 million plus launch on the back of that quiz. And then lastly, a few beginners. This is Jamal. He created a quiz called Why Are You Still Single? So he's in the Christian singles market, was making $17 an hour working for his church. On the back of this quiz, got over 10,000 people to take it in less than 14 days, went viral, just like the parenting quiz I shared earlier. First year in business, made over $500,000. He's making well over $1 million a year in his business. And then the last one here, Neil. What public speaker type are you? Take this quiz to find out what type of public speaker you are. He was literally driving for Lyft, like Uber and Lyft. He was driving for Lyft and was trying to get his business going off the ground while he was driving for Lyft. And now he's making over $100,000 a month on the back of this quiz. So why aren't more people getting results like this? Well, it comes down to 5 big mistakes. And I'm going to go rapid fire through what these mistakes are, because these are the reasons why when people, maybe have seen quizzes online or they've thought about doing a quiz, why they haven't gotten the results that they want to get, or like these examples. It all comes down to these 5 mistakes, beginning with mistake number 1, which is following the wrong process. So, if you're doing anything, if you're building a house, you create and follow a blueprint, right? You follow a blueprint, you end up with a house that looks like this. You don't follow a blueprint, you end up with a house that looks like this. And you've got a staircase that leads to nowhere. And this is one of the things that happens is people create one of these quizzes, they get really excited about it, and they might get a whole bunch of people to take the quiz, but none of those quiz takers turn into buyers. You have to have a quiz that leads to the thing that you want to sell, whatever that may be. And so to do that, you need to create and follow a blueprint. And every successful quiz follows the same blueprint. So this is something that you may want to jot down and write down as I go through it, or certainly take some notes on it. Every quiz follows this 3-step framework. What we call welcome, which is a step that's designed to attract people to the quiz, followed by a series of questions ending with lead capture, designed to diagnose a person's situation, and then ultimately landing on an outcome where you're giving people their quiz results that prescribes the next step. Attract, diagnose, prescribe. Now in marketing terms, what that looks like is as follows. We have a hook. A hook is the big idea. It's the thing that attracts people to anything. It's the thing that drives attention. There's a hook that drives people to the quiz in the first place, followed by a bridge that connects that hook, what took people to the quiz, all the way to the offer, the thing that we want people to do next, whether it's to buy our product online, schedule a phone call so we can have a conversation with them and talk about our products and services over the phone, watch your webinar, watch a video, listen to an episode of your podcast, whatever that next step may be. In visual terms, it looks like this. You've got a welcome page like Michael's platform assessment page that may look a little something like this, followed by a bridge, which is a series of questions, and then ultimately the offer, which in this case here is, in Michael's case, is to get people to watch his 3 Secrets to Exponential Audience Growth webinar, which will lead to his offer. Now, this is the order in which someone takes a quiz. Like your audience will take your quiz in this order. But it's not necessarily the order in which people, you should be building your quiz. You want to build your quiz in a specific order. And it goes back to that image I shared just a moment ago with the staircase. You actually don't want to begin in the order in which someone takes the quiz. You actually want to begin with the end in mind. You want to start with your offer. You want to get really clear on what's the next step you want someone to take in your business. What is that thing you want them to do? Is it schedule a call with you so you can have a strategy session or a discovery call or a conversation about your services? Is it watching your sales video? Is it signing up for your webinar? Is it clicking on the buy link for your e-commerce product? What's that next step that you want people to take? From there, we design a hook that will attract the ideal type of person to that offer. And then finally, the bridge that connects people from that hook to the offer itself. Now that takes us to mistake number 2, which is that number 2 you see on the list, which is the hook. Mistake number 2 all comes down to having the wrong type of hook. See, with a quiz funnel like this, it's truly all about a hook. It's all about the hook that's going to attract the right type of people into your world. And there are 2 parts. 2 parts to every well-designed quiz funnel hook. The first part is what we call the quiz topic. Now, the quiz topic is going to be the topic that's relevant to you and your business. And here's an example of an exercise where we were brainstorming a whole bunch of different topic ideas for a quiz we're working on. So this is where, for example, if you have a quiz about golf, is it about the golf swing? If you have a quiz about guitar, is it about playing the guitar? If you have a quiz about trying to figure out what type of business loan is right for someone, the topic in this case is going to be business loans. So there are truly an infinite number of potential topics, and you can't go wrong here. You can only go right. But there's a second piece of this, which is what we call the quiz framework. And where are there unlimited quiz topics? There are only 3 possible quiz frameworks. And the quiz frameworks that you want to choose from are one of the following. So as I go through each of these one by one, the exercise that you want to be going through right now is asking yourself, which of these 3 quiz frameworks might make the most sense for you and your business? So micro assignment, you want to think about what that is. And when we're through with this, take a moment to jot that down. The first type of quiz is what we call a type quiz. Now, what's a type quiz? A type quiz is where you're putting people into one of several buckets based on their type. Like, for example, what's your weight loss type? There are 5 different weight loss types. Or what's your muscle building type? There are 5 types of muscle. People have different muscle profiles. Or what type of backpack is right for you? Those are examples of type quizzes. Now, the reason why they work, the psychology behind it, is what we call the psychology of categorical perception. What is that exactly? Well, without geeking out too much, there are researchers, Brent Berlin and Paul Kay, who initiated this idea of categorical perception, which is that we perceive distinct categories even when change is actually along a continuum. What that means is our universal inclination is to put things into different categories. And the most easy to understand example is the way we look at color. Color exists upon a spectrum. There's an infinite spectrum. There's no such thing as a demarcation between red and orange and green and blue and purple and pink, but that is how our brain perceives color. We naturally put colors into different buckets. We ask ourselves, is that a red shirt or is that a blue shirt? We put these artificial lines between things. And the reason why we do that is one of the ways we make sense of the world, and that is also how we want to make sense for ourselves. So we constantly ask ourselves, am I in this bucket or am I that bucket? Am I this type or am I that type? We like to use this in our journey of self-discovery to understand more about ourselves. And so you can tap into that with a type quiz. I'll give you an example of this in action. You've got the MBTI quiz, the Myers-Briggs personality type. You've got the Kolbe assessment, Sally Hogshead's How to Fascinate profile, Roger Hamilton's The Wealth Dynamics quiz, the Enneagram profile, which has been around for hundreds of years, and many more. In a marketing context, an example of this is the Proactive Skin Type quiz. So Proactive is a skincare company. They sell acne treatment for your skin, and worked together to create something called the Skin Type quiz to help identify what skincare product is right for you based on your skin type. So in this very simplistic example, if you have oily skin, Proactive is going to recommend their Proactive Oil Control Kit. If you have clarifying skin, they're going to recommend their if you have dry skin, they're going to recommend their clarifying kit for dry skin. And you can see how it follows our framework: attract, diagnose, prescribe. Another example I shared a moment ago, that weight loss type quiz. Take this quiz to find out what your weight loss type is. Are you type A, type I, type G, or type C? It all corresponds to which of your weight loss hormones is most out of balance right now, which will determine the types of foods you want to avoid, the type of exercise that's right for you, and the right supplementation to help you get over the hump. Take the quiz to find out now what your weight loss type is in under 30 seconds. Attract, diagnose, prescribe. Now, this is in contrast to the second type of quiz, which was what we call a killer quiz. Now, a killer quiz is one where you're helping people identify the mistake they're making in their life that's holding them back from the transformation you deliver with your product or service. So, why does it work so well? What's the psychology? Well, it has to do with the psychology of loss aversion, which is just a fancy way of saying the fear of loss is more powerful than the promise of gain. The idea of losing something, that you've got something at stake to lose, is more powerful, it's more motivating than the promise of gaining something new. And the example I always love to share is, imagine for a moment if you're on Facebook and you are a parent and you see one of two ads, one of two posts on Facebook. Which one are you going to click on? Ad number 1, attention parents, how to raise a well-adjusted, contributing member of society. Click the link to find out more below. Right? So how to transform your child into a well-adjusted, contributing member of society. Option 2, the 5 biggest mistakes parents make that screw their kids up for life. Take the quiz to find out if you might be making one of these mistakes. Which of these is more compelling? Well, this underscores that fear of loss is more powerful than the promise of gain. The psychology behind this was first really posited by the great Daniel Kahneman. He's a psychologist and economist. He won the Nobel Prize for economics and behavioral economics. He revealed many cognitive biases, including this bias of loss aversion. He's written a great book, by the way, called Thinking Fast and Slow, if you haven't read it already. You can see some of his academic work right here, which went into his work. And examples of this in action are some of the examples that we've taken some time to look at. So for example, the golf swing killers quiz. Take this quiz to figure out what mistake you're making in your quiz, in your golf swing. Attract, diagnose, prescribe. The guitar killers quiz. What's holding you back from making progress as a musician? Attract, diagnose, and prescribe. And that takes us to the third and final quiz framework, which is what we call a score framework. Score framework, in contrast to type and killer, is one where you're helping people identify what their score is, where they stack up relative to their peers or relative to where they should be in their life. Now, why does it work so well? What's the psychology here? Well, psychology all has to do with social comparison theory. Social comparison theory, first posited by Leon Festinger. So I'm not going to geek out too much, but just to show you that there's real science behind all of this. He's a social psychologist, introduced social comparison theory, and basically what that means is we have a drive within ourselves to compare ourselves to other people. Like we're always comparing ourselves to our peers, our neighbors, our family members, our friends. How is it that he's making more money than me? How is it that she's losing more weight than I have? It's just the way our brains make sense of the world. And examples of this in action are, for example, the real age test. If you're not familiar with the real age test, it's a test you can take online that, your passport might say that you are, 45 years old, but how old is your body? Do you have the body of a 45-year-old or the body of a 55-year-old? What's your actual age? What's your real age? Take this quiz to find out now. Over 40 million people, by the way, have taken this quiz. Here's another example, digital readiness score. So this is a B2B marketing consultant tapping into the same score concept. How digitally ready is your business? Attract, diagnose, prescribe. And that leads people to get on the phone and have a conversation about their business. Authority score. How well does your level of authority stack up against your competition? Attract, diagnose, prescribe. So the question that you want to be asking yourself is, of these three frameworks, type, killer, score, which one do you think at this point in time might make the most sense for your business? Take a moment to write it down. Are you going to do a type quiz, a killer quiz, or a score quiz? And that takes us to the next mistake, mistake number 3, which is asking the wrong questions. So we've already talked about how questions serve as the bridge that connect the hook, the things that attract people to take the quiz in the first place, and then your offer, the thing that you want to sell people. Your bridge represents the questions. The questions that you asked are designed to diagnose a person's situation so you can put them into one of several buckets and then present your offer in a way that is most relevant and makes the most sense to them. Now, the way you come up with your questions is begin by brainstorming what your question structure might look like and what you might potentially ask, connecting things with branching logic, and then ultimately putting people into one of several buckets based on the answers to those quiz questions. Now, when it comes to coming up with your questions, there are a few best practices that are worth noting and that I encourage you to write down. First, you always want to use the power of micro commitments. And what that means is ask one question per screen. You want to sort of give people a breadcrumb trail where you can lead them along the way. It's one of the reasons why quiz funnels are so incredibly effective. Instead of asking people to marry you before they've even really gotten to know you, you're just asking them these simple, non-threatening, multiple choice questions, one question at a time, that are leading them down this path where they want to grow their relationship with you and eventually do business with you. And to do that, you always want to start with what we call a grease the wheels question. So in American English, really what that means is something that just kind of starts the conversation. So are you a man or a woman? In the golf market, are you a left-handed golfer or a right-handed golfer? In the business market, are you looking to start a new business or grow your existing business? An easy, non-threatening, binary choice question that gives people a way to get things going. You always want to end with a lead capture question. So you always want to end asking for a person's contact information. Never do it up front. You do it up front, it's too much too soon. As far as the sweet spot, you want to aim for between 5 and 12 questions. How do we know this? Well, again, we own a software company, a technology. We have access to over 200 million data points. So we know what the highest converting, highest performing quizzes across every industry, every geography around the world have in common. This is the sweet spot. And the rationale behind this, if you think about it, well, if you ask for too little information, the diagnosis is not believable, right? If you walk into the doctor's office and you say, hey doc, I hurt my wrist, what's wrong with it? And he says, well, one question, is it your left hand or your right hand? You say, oh, it's my left hand. He says, I know exactly what it is. You're like, how the heck do you know? That's not enough information. Conversely, if you ask for too much information, then you're going to lose people along the way. They're going to drop off. Remember, this is a marketing quiz. This is a quiz to generate leads and customers. We're not trying to cure cancer. We're not trying to diagnose whether someone has a life-threatening illness, we're trying to identify what the best next step is for them. And to do that, we want to stay within this sweet spot. And that leads us to the next mistake, which is the wrong offer. Now, the name of the game in one of these quiz funnels is to sell something immediately after people take your quiz. And to do that, you need the right offer. You need the right thing to sell. And every offer on the back of a quiz funnel has two parts. Part number one is what we call Band-Aid. Part number two is what we call Cure. And I think it's best understood with an example. So what's the difference between Band-Aid, Cure? Band-Aid is the quiz result, the thing that you give people for free, which is a way to solve the problem they think they have. It's a Band-Aid, right? They take the quiz, you give them some useful information, you give them their results. Like in the golf example, your number one swing killer is what we call throwing the club, swing killer number 10. However, as the expert in your space, you know, just like if you're putting on a Band-Aid on a small kiddo's knee who falls on the ground, the kiddo might think the Band-Aid makes the boo-boo feel better, but you as the adult know that in order to really feel better, you're going to have to give them some sort of medicine, the cure. Your paid product, the thing that you sell, delivers the cure. Now, people come into a quiz funnel and they don't know that they need your cure. People are not walking around saying, oh, James, I need to sign up for your course. I've been thinking about it all day, every day. I need to sign up for your service. They're not thinking that. They're thinking, I have this problem in my life. And they think they know what that next step is. They don't realize they need the cure. They think they need the Band-Aid. But what you do is you deliver that Band-Aid after the quiz and segue into the cure by breaking down this old belief that, yes, what they think they need is the Band-Aid, but what you really need is this cure. And to do this, to put it all together and get the results that I've shared with you earlier, the last mistake that people make, mistake number 5, is using the wrong tool. And I love this slide here. It just makes me smile, makes me chuckle. This person here is, working so hard to make a hole in the side of their wall and, using the wrong tool for the job. And I see people make this mistake all the time. In the kind of ecosystem of tools available in your marketing toolkit, you've got things like survey software, which is great for gathering marketing intelligence. Open-ended survey questions where you're gathering detailed market research. Great for data analytics, not so much for beautiful, high-converting output. Next up, you've got form creators, tools that create beautiful forms that are designed to be absolutely stunning, but are not designed with sales conversion in mind. Next up, you've got funnel builders, which are great for one-size-fits-all funnels, but the quiz functionality to put people in different buckets based on combinations of their answers is lacking. They, at best, will do what we call fake quizzes. So quizzes that it doesn't matter how you answer the questions, everyone goes to the same response, which is not what we're talking about here. And last but not least, you have viral quiz creators, which are great for viral traffic, like those BuzzFeed quizzes. What Disney character is your dog? But they generate clicks and not customers. The one thing that every single one of the examples that we've looked at in common has together is that every single one of them use the same technology. And that technology is called Bucket.io, technology to create quizzes that convert. And what I want to do very briefly is I want to just kind of take you behind the scenes inside the technology. You can see when you're looking for a tool to build a quiz funnel for yourself, really what you're looking for to get the job done. So if you log into this screen here on this dashboard, you'll see here this particular screen represents the dashboard of a sample bucket account. And what I'll do is I'll kind of take you inside, sort of behind the scenes of an actual quiz funnel in action. So for example, if you go to, we'll go to this one right here. I'll take you behind the scenes of the actual tool for building this building this quiz funnel inside the dashboard. This is what we call your canvas. So this canvas right here, if I zoom out a little bit more and make it a little bit more viewable, is where you design the entire logic for building out one of these quiz funnels so that you can connect each question to the subsequent question in the quiz. In here, you can also edit any one of the quiz questions. So you want the ability to be able to do things like randomize the choice order. You want to be able to do things like add or remove a progress bar on the quiz. You want to be able to customize that progress bar so you can determine where along the way it starts based on the individual question. You also want a tool like Bucket that not only allows you to build the quiz questions themselves, but the pages pre-quiz and post-quiz. So you can see here all the pages pre-quiz and post-quiz are built inside the platform. So instead of trying to join together 10 different tools for the job, you've got one tool that does everything all in one place. In addition to that, I alluded to when I logged in some of the data and analytics that you have access to. So you want a tool that gives you access to very detailed analytics. So for example, you can see the conversion rate on any individual question in the quiz itself. You want to be able to see how people answer each individual question. And with this information, be able to customize your follow-up content based on how people answer a combination of these questions. So for example, we know that in this market, you can see here, for this particular quiz, 27% of people are selling client services, so coaching, consulting, doing agency work, or so on and so forth. 20% are selling e-commerce. With this information, you can customize all the follow-up, all the emails, the remarketing, the videos, the content that people get access to based on these individual questions. You can see which buckets convert better than the others. You can see here the opt-in rates on these particular this particular quiz ranges from 79% to 89%. This is on cold traffic. So a well-designed quiz can do incredibly well and perform incredibly strongly. You also want something that allows you to start with best practices in mind. So being able to start with one of a number of high converting templates that are best on best practices based on the type of business that you're in. So you're not starting with a blank canvas, you're starting with something that's proven, starting with something that works. So to wrap things up, the question is this: what happens when you've got the right process, as we've covered, you've got the right hook, as we started to identify and explore, you are asking the right questions in your quiz, you couple that with the right offer after your quiz, and you're using the right technology to stitch everything all together? Well, I want to end with a case study. Now, I want to share the power of this process and inspire you to consider putting this in place in your business. So recently, we launched a product in our business. We launched a new book, and it's a book that James pulled up at the beginning of our conversation. It's our book, Choose. Now, when we launched this book and we brought this book to market, we knew that there was a challenge, because in case you haven't noticed, there are a lot of books out there. In fact, books are arguably the single most competitive product category in the world. If you go to Amazon.com, there are over 1 million books for sale that you could buy. Ask yourself, what product category exists where there are over 1 million SKUs in that space, well over 1 million SKUs. It's incredibly competitive. So we asked ourselves, how are we going to stand out? How are we going to compete? Well, naturally we said, let's use a quiz funnel. So we used exactly what I shared with you here on this training. We followed the formula: attract, diagnose, prescribe. We had a landing page that follows best practices, questions following all the best practices that we've talked about to identify what type of business you should start. What type of business is right for you? Your answer is MBPF. To find out what that means, enter your email address and we'll explain what it means and how to apply it in your life and in your business. We take people to a video that reveals their results and explains what that means, and then naturally segues into our product, in this case, our book, Choose. Let's take a look at the results. We launched this quiz, and in less than a year's time, had over 192,000 people take this quiz, 121,000 people opt in. And by the way, this is just in the last 60 days alone. I grabbed the screenshot from not too long ago. You can see here we have a quiz that the opt-in rate is anywhere from about 64 to about 77% conversion rate, 71% opt-in rate on average. All that data that I shared with you just a moment ago that allows us to customize everything. The feedback in the marketplace has been amazing. You can see here, this is just one of our Facebook ads shared by over 460 people, 400,000 views. Taylor here saying that this video helped clear my vision of my final destination. Grabbed a screenshot of our ad account, over 1,600 leads in less than 24 hours. We had a cost per lead of 43 cents per lead in a very competitive B2B market. 51 purchases on the front end without any follow-up, without any email, without anything else. And in case you're wondering, this quiz is profitable. And if you do the math, 1,663 leads per day times 365 days is over 607,000 leads that we are on pace to do through this quiz alone. And customers, we've already, this is to date, already generated over 32,000 paying customers through this quiz. Now you might ask yourself, what's a list like this worth? Well, it's not just about what you sell on the front end, it's also the other products and services you can sell to people. So we recently did an affiliate promotion for a product called Tribe, which helps people build a membership site. We were an affiliate. We sold 273 copies of this $2,000 product, generated over $547 in revenue, $219,000 in commission. That's the money to us as an affiliate. We were the #1 affiliate in this particular campaign promotion. We beat out sort of titans of the online marketing world like Russell Brunson and Michael Hyatt and Jeff Walker on the back of this. And in addition to the $219,000 in commission, $100,000 in cash prizes, $319,000 in just 5 days. That's the revenue that we made in just 5 days on the back of this list. So this quiz that you see right here to date has generated over $1.2 million, and that's in less than 6 months. So to sum it all up, the secret is simple. When you combine the right hook, the right questions, the right offer, and the right technology, that's all you need. That's it. That's the process. As far as next steps, to wrap things up, because I know we're short on time and we're getting here to the home stretch, the next step is really simple. If this is something that you would like to go deeper on, if you're like, this is interesting, but I'd love to know how I can apply this to my business, I'd love to invite you to join a free quiz funnel workshop. There's a free quiz funnel workshop that we do periodically throughout the year. Excuse me, it's totally free. We go through this process of creating a quiz step by step in more detail. Of course, for those of you who want to go deeper and become clients and use a software product, there'll be opportunities to do this, but there's no obligation at all. We go much deeper into the process and really map out what your quiz is going to look like step by step. If you'd like to join us for the next quiz funnel workshop that we've got coming up around the corner, which we do just a few times a year, you can go to the link quizfunnel.com/B2B Summit. quizfunnel.com/B2B Summit, and I'd love to invite you to join us and help you out with your quiz. James, I know we went fast. I know we covered a lot of ground in a short amount of time. I know we went slightly over on time, but hopefully we're able to bring as much as possible in the time that we have, and I'll turn it over to you, my friend, to bring us home.
Well, do you know what's fantastic about that? And that is, this is something that I study. I've done training with you. It's also something that I teach. But there were elements within there that I was like, oh, that is just such a nice takeaway. That is just such a neat and succinct way of presenting the information. A couple take homes for everyone out there. Remember these things. There were 3 frameworks. Super important to understand those 3 frameworks. An easy start for a lot of people is that the moment that you start to think about those frameworks, you might start to think about headlines. Now, that's not necessarily following Ryan's formula because we want to know the end first, but it will get you thinking. Another cool thing is that the way that the funnel structure follows typical sales and marketing in the form of what once upon a time would have been a conversation. You would have given someone a reason to meet with you. You would have sat down, you would have asked a whole bunch of questions, and then you would have diagnosed the problem. How many, I remember the real age one, Ryan, that like you said, that was like 44 million leads.
40 million people. So, the example I always like to give people is just like close your eyes for a minute and just imagine logging into your email account, like your Infusionsoft account or ConvertKit or HubSpot or whatever tool you use. So just imagine logging into your dashboard, just picture that in your mind's eye. And then whatever number you saw yesterday when you logged in, imagine you wake up tomorrow morning and that number is 40 million people. 40 million email subscribers on your list. And not just knowing name and email, but having access to a dozen data points about that person so that you can send a targeted promotion to maybe just the men on your list, or a targeted promotion to just the people who are of a certain age or demographic because you've gathered all that information. That's the power, that's the potential of how transformative this can be.
And there's one more key point, which I'm sure that Ryan gets into during his workshop, and that is this mind reading element. There's a question that appears in most of Ryan's quizzes called the SMIQ, which stands for the single most important question. And for me, that was a game changer. Do you talk about that during your workshop?
Yeah, so one of the really powerful things is, when we look at a quiz funnel, it's arguably the most effective way to build a list of leads and customers in your business. Now, when you've generated that list and you're trying to gather insights into your market, the consumer hot buttons, the natural consumer language that people are using, one of the most effective things that you can do is reach out to that audience of people that you've built through your quiz funnel and ask them this SMIQ, the single most important question, which is an open-ended question. It's a different kind of question. It's an open-ended question where people will basically tell you exactly what to sell and exactly how to sell it by giving you the natural consumer language that you can echo back in all of your emails, all of your landing pages, all of your videos, all of your webinars, all of your Facebook ads, everything that you do, you're just echoing back that natural language to your market where they say, oh my gosh, it's like you said, the mind reading question, it's like you can describe my life better than I can even describe it myself. Have you been spying at the dinner table? Like, have you been eavesdropping on me? Like, how do you know what I'm thinking better than I can even articulate it myself? Well, it comes from taking that language from the market, echoing it back in a certain way. And of course, like everything here, there's nuance to it and there's the devil in the details, but that's the general sense of how to apply that.
So I remember sitting down once and I wrote, I think it was 12 emails in a row for a sequence entirely from the answers from my SMIQ. Like, all I had to do was just pluck sentences. They were my email headlines. They were the impetus, and we worked through. Once again, thank you so much, Ryan. If you're watching this, don't just register for the free workshop. Check out his other stuff. Go to his website, play around. You'll have a lot of fun. And of course, check out bucket.io. Thank you so much, Ryan. This has been amazing.
James, it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure, and look forward to connecting again soon.